Hey everybody, welcome back to the Winner's Circle. I am Derrick Lavasser.
And I'm Cody Calafieri.
And we have a little special episode here for you today. This is something that Cody and I have talked about, and it was something we really wanted to do, but it wouldn't be possible without the people we're about to introduce. So the format of what we're going to do here is we're going to be talking to the friends and family of the current house guests. Why are we doing that? Cody and I have played the game, and, there's a lot of people out there who do their commentary on the show and the house guests and all that good stuff. And they're not wrong, but do we really know the house guests? And the answer is no. So how do we get that information? How do we find out more about these house guests, what makes them who they are, and what they might do in the game going forward? Who better to talk to than the people that know them best? And that would be their friends and family. So starting off this little mini series that we're going to do is going to be the friends of Kyland Young. And I'd like to introduce them to you now. They can tell you a little bit more about themselves. So welcome to the Winner's Circle, Tara and John.
Hi, thanks for having us.
Hey guys.
No, thanks for being here. And just a little side note, we were going to have Kyland's mom on, Yvonnes. She's not in front of her computer right now. That's my fault. She thought she could do it from her phone. That's on me, Kyland's mom. But she did call in. Before we started recording, she did give us a little bit of a message to relay to you guys, because again, nobody knows Kyland better than mom. And it was really insightful what she had to say, but we'll save that more for the end. But let's talk about you guys real quick, because we're going to talk about Kyland most of this interview. He's a star, right? But I want to learn more about Big Brother as far as you guys are concerned. Some people, as John was saying before we started recording, I didn't even watch the show until Kyland told me he was going on. And then there are other people who were fans well before their friend or family member comes to them and says, hey, I'm going on Big Brother. What was your experience with Big Brother before Kyland told you, and how are you guys liking the show so far?
Awesome. I'll start.
Yeah.
I have been friends with Kyland since we were in college together, so about 9 years. And a few years ago, right around BB20 time, Kyland has a good childhood friend who's been watching the show with his family for years, always tried to get him to watch it. He never did. And finally, all of a sudden, he comes running into my apartment one day and is like, Tara, you've got to watch this show. It's amazing. And we watched a couple episodes of BB20 and we were instantly hooked to the point where we were watching the live feeds all the time.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, during that season. We called each other a lot to discuss different player strategies, and we got really into it. And he was like, I'm doing it. Like, I am going to audition for this show. It's really important for me to get on. So yeah, the last few years have been a process. I mean, COVID, was obviously, we're so glad we had that all-star season. But we weren't sure what was going to happen with COVID and the show. And so it was really nice that now that we're in 2021 that he finally made it on.
Yeah.
It's got to be a dream come true for him.
And actually, he didn't tell me he was going on the show. I told him he was going on the show because I was the guy that gave him his key to Big Brother House. So
there we go.
Oh, classic.
I was there that morning, and I had no Big Brother history at all before then. And then he left. I signed up for Paramount Plus.
Yep.
Binge watched your guys' season was my first season. So
No way.
That's how I got into Big Brother. And he even told me, he's like, these are the two guys I'm kind of, strategizing my strategy like. And I was like, all right, yeah, let me watch this. Let me watch their season. So I watched you guys. I watched 20 and then started being hooked on his season and live feeds every day pretty much.
Yeah.
And
John is a full live feeder, like
Yeah.
chat, everything.
yeah, I got a little chat room. I got usernames. Yeah, I'm in. I'm hooked.
Yeah, that's what.
Now, are you using your real name or are you using like a pseudonym? So
I had pseudonyms. I was at
There you
first
go.
BBJOB because my initials are JOB, and then I was like,
Well,
let me
you
really get into this, and I was like,
Oh.
the big brother, the older brother, Kitty Cam, because they always throw the cats on, and I was like,
Oh my
just
goodness, they
coming up with
do.
random things.
Now you're giving away all your secrets.
Yeah,
Now
I know,
everyone's
real
gonna
talk.
I know
about
they're
this
gonna
chat.
know.
Yeah, now they're going to see
Feeders
you
are
in there.
coming after you.
Yeah. Well, so I think that's pretty cool to have that perspective from the two of you. Tara, you had watched the show previously, and John, you're just getting into it. And I've had so many friends when I went on that were just like you, John. Never watched, and then we're barely working because the feeds were up all day.
Oh, barely working. And I make like updates for family and friends that don't watch it and they don't understand the lingo, but now I have it down. I'm like, HOH, but we got the veto comp coming up, but hopefully someone can win Coin of Destiny. And they're like, what are you saying? I'm like, I know. And it's been bleeding into my conversations. I'll be like, don't worry, guys. Like, I'll make sure you have a plan this weekend. Don't worry, I got your back. And if we don't have a plan, it's you and I that won't go out. And I'm like, whoa, why are
Your
we?
big brother and outside of the house.
Big brother.
Yeah.
We talk about like The Bachelor. I'm like, yeah, they got evicted, and they're like, you mean eliminated? I'm
Yeah.
like, never mind.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. It's a completely different ecosystem. So unless you're familiar with the show, but it's so funny because it's such a big community that, you know, you're talking about it and people are acting like, you know, it's completely foreign. They've never heard of it. But once you get sucked in, it's hard to get out.
Yeah.
We love it.
What's been the hardest part for you two, you know, watching the show? Obviously, you know, you were saying you live with Kyland, but being on the outside, what's been the hardest part for the two of you to just see one of your closest friends in the house?
Yeah, I think the first week was a really big reality check for us with Frenchie being HOH and Kyland going on the block the first week, because as I'm sure your guys' friends and family would say, you never expect your person to go on the block the first week, and you don't expect them to go home, and you have this attitude when they're going in like they're going to win. They're coming back with now 750K. And all of a sudden he was on the block the first week after having like what we thought was an incredible conversation with Frenchie after watching the feed. So we were so confused. And I remember that first week just crying, and we were so upset. We made videos to show him later of like, we're so depressed. And it was a good reality check to have the first week so that we could then be prepared for weeks going on. So now, like, when other house guests are talking about him, we're constantly reminding ourselves, like, we have information he doesn't have. He will come to realizations later than we will. We know about things like, you know, the upcoming 2 double evictions, you know, what other house guests are saying. We're outside the house and we have this holistic perspective that he doesn't have. So it's nice to know that, like, we really do believe he's playing the best game he possibly can, but we're also like, you are killing us every week. And sometimes he'll get on the feeds and say like, Tara, John, you know, Mom, like, I apologize. This has been a hard week. And that definitely helps comfort us.
Yeah.
Well, that's a good segue there, because you guys are getting a 360-degree perspective where a lot of people watching the show, they always think like, oh, why is he doing this? Why is he doing that? And Cody said it numerous times on the Winner's Circle. You guys are getting to see every angle. The house guests are not. So
Literally from so many cameras and microphones.
Exactly. So 100 and something microphones, and it's a crazy amount. But having that 360-degree perspective, and Tara, especially you being a fan of, you know, the show for a very long time, be objective here, because Kyland will see this at some point. Okay, we talked about that tough love before we started. What would you grade Kyland's game so far? And there's no wrong answer. You've seen us every week as far as what we think of Kyland's game. What do you guys think of Kyland's game so far?
Well, when I say you're the voice of reason, I think I really mean it, in the sense that what I love about the hit list is you guys give the perspective of like, this is how people have a path to either win the game or not, and that it could go a variety of ways, but is there a path or isn't? And what does the path look like? Like, does that player have the ability to take themselves there, or are they going to be brought, et cetera? So I've kind of been using that as my voice of reason, truly. And every time I think, you know, oh, Tiffany is saying, you know, Kyland's going to be the first evicted of the 6, or Xavier's feeling threatened by Kyland, or, you know, Hannah's trying to plant seeds between Kyland and Xavier to get them to target each other. Like, every time I think that there's a way for him to end up on the block and go home, I remember that he's given himself a decent amount of competition wins so far. He's thrown some things. You know, he does have a good social game, and he is really well liked. He's going to be mad at me for saying this, but you could speak to this too. We know Kyland so well that we genuinely, I think, didn't realize in the house that no one else would understand how he communicates. So like, when he talks about something and he's passionate and excited, he'll have like a long-winded way of getting there, and he'll say words that actually are like 4 steps ahead of his point. And but we're used to it now because we've known him for so long. So we're like, oh yeah, exactly. Like, I'm excited about that too. And sometimes I just look at him and I'm like, Kyland, you got to back me up here. I really don't know what you're talking about. Like, what did you just say? So I think in that sense, his social games could use some improvement. He's going to hate me for saying that, but I would grade him like A- right now.
If the talk, there were times I'm like, dude, don't just stop the talking. Just like give less is more. But he talks, and it goes for sometimes 2 hours for a one-on-one. Yeah. But
I'm sure you've seen the hashtag, right?
Yeah.
Kai complains.
Yep.
We really, there's been some really funny ones too from like former house guests and, you know, big BB Twitter accounts saying, like, the one where Kyland says like, I'm going to set up a class action lawsuit. Like, Derrick X's social person was like, for Derrick X being evicted. Like, we want a class action lawsuit.
I love how you guys are taking it.
Yeah,
It's
my
not
favorite
personal.
favorite hashtag is Kyland, because he does cry a lot. Love the guy. He's got a heart of gold and he wears his heart on his sleeve, but he does cry. And I was like, Kyland, Twitter, amazing.
Yeah.
That I'm gonna steal that and use that whenever I
I'm
see
sure
him.
he's gonna have a lot of hashtags to look up when he gets out.
Oh, he's
Good,
got
but you
well,
guys
you-
are taking it. You guys are definitely taking it the right way, because it can get
Appreciate
personal,
that.
but at the way you guys are absorbing that is you're taking it for what it is. These, the people out there on Twitter world do not know him, so you just got to kind of take it with a grain of salt and understand that it's fun. And if you absorb the material like that, it's a lot easier to go on with the show and obviously process the season, because at the end of the day, it's a once in a lifetime experience.
Right.
And you want him and you guys as well, and his mom, everyone, to get the most out of it.
Totally. And we think that he's going to take it similarly when he gets out of the house. Like, there's a part of me that tries to protect him. And I'm like, I don't know if I want him to see certain things. And I'm fully realizing that I'm like, he's a grown person and he will be totally fine. And I really think that, he's
I'm
going
like
to find it funny.
screenshotting all the negative stuff and like saving it into a folder to show him like,
that
this
happens
was
too.
the greatest tweet.
Yeah, as long as it's not too rough, because I mean, Derrick and I can tell you, we know how brutal some of the tweets can be coming out. And so for me, I'm somebody who just kind of like brushes it off, but there are people like, and I can speak to it because my brother was one that came off the show, got a lot of stuff on social media, didn't really know how to take it funny, and was like, it was rough on him.
It's hard. Absolutely.
But you correct me if I'm wrong when I say this about Kyland. I feel like some of the reason why he kind of like explains a lot is because I genuinely feel like he's a very compassionate person. And when he's explaining, it's to people that like, maybe I'm going to have to nominate them, or I'm going to put them on the block. And so he's like explaining these long-winded responses because he really just doesn't want to be blunt to the point and hurt someone's feelings.
Yeah.
Is that something that you've seen? Like, I don't know Kyland, but.
Yeah. I think that that's a fair assessment. I find that he does that to me in my life if he's trying to give me like some type of tough love, whether it's about, a relationship or a career decision, whatever it is. Like, he'll have a really long-winded way of explaining something, and he's very analytical in a positive way. So he'll be like, okay, like if we really weigh out our options and our pros and cons, what do we have to look at here? And he's not direct, but it helps soften the blow for me every time. So I do think that it is his compassion, and truly he wears his heart on his sleeve. And I think he's trying to give that to the other house guests. Unfortunately, in a game like Big Brother, you never know when somebody's lying or somebody's just trying to like pander to you. And I think maybe when they get out of the house and meet some of his friends, et cetera, they'll learn that like this is kind of just part of how he communicates. But I think that's a fair assessment of who he is.
We were talking about Yvonne, Kyland's mom, coming on before we started recording. She was on speakerphone. And so let's start when we talk about strategy, because that's where we're going with this. Let's talk about macro strategy and then get into the micro, because we know the micro ultimately is for Kyland to win. But on a macro level, because I'm sure Kyland had an underlying idea of what he wanted to do, but now that it's kind of coming to fruition with the cookout, you can relay what Yvonne just told us as well. But Kyland being in there right now with the cookout, and the ultimate goal, his number one goal being to have a black person win Big Brother, the first time that'll ever happen in a regular season. What did Yvonne just say? I'll let you guys relay that to the audience right now, because I thought it was pretty powerful, but it was also truthful, which I liked. So relay that, and then also your opinions on it, because it's a really big thing. It's getting a lot of attention, and it's never been done for, so it's historical. And Kyland's going to be part of that. So what's Yvonne's take? What's your take?
Yeah, I'll relay what Yvonne said, especially considering, we are two of Kyland's white friends, and we definitely can't speak to the black experience. Just to throw that out there. But yeah, Yvonne is so beautifully understanding of what this means for him as his mother. And Kyland has 4 sisters as well. And so he's got his sisters behind him too. And it's really an important mission for him. This is something that I don't know that the house guests, when they were cast, that they realized that this would be the most diverse cast in Big Brother history. And to come into the house and to see all these other POC players, I think was really powerful. And from day 1 or 2, they immediately realized that working together would be really powerful, and that they also had to be strategic about it. But that he said it on the feeds multiple times. And I think this is what Yvonne was trying to relay, that this is an incredibly important mission that's dear to his heart. They're connecting over a shared culture and a shared experience and trying to create history for Black players in a way that's never been done before. And that, despite what people may be saying online, is an incredibly powerful thing. And I think for Kyland specifically, he's talked about it on the feeds to us. This is about representation for him, to be able for future Black players, to see that a Black player is capable of winning, and also that the cookout is capable of, hopefully with this crazy week, making it to Final Six, is going to be really powerful for future players to see. And he said multiple times, if I had seen someone like me winning, or even just see someone like me in media, culture, etc., how powerful of an image that is.
Yvonnes said something great on the call where, you could sense it. I've never spoken to her before, but I could sense how proud she was of her son and what he was accomplishing. And you could hear that in her tone. Yeah. But then also what I really loved, the Big Brother player, she gave this passionate thing about how she's so proud of him and what he's accomplishing, what the cookout is accomplishing. However, she followed that up with, but once that happens, game on. I love that. That's her word. Yep. That's her words. Yep. So I love that. And I think they're all feeling that. We're all feeling that. So that was really, I wanted to make sure we got that out there because it is very important. And that's more of the macro, but the game is starting. I don't know, Cody, how do you want to, where are we going with this? Where are we going next?
I think the next thing we want to do is, now that we see, and honestly, Derrick and I were talking about it, and we would really love to see just the 6 get there with the double eviction. What Tara was just talking about, for those of you that don't know, which I'm sure you do, there's a double eviction coming up. And so really what we all know as Big Brother fans is that anything can happen. Mm-hmm. The slightest thing can derail a plan, which would be an historic. I think it's already been historic. So not
absolutely.
So
agreed.
It's already been historic. So, but to get to the 6 would be absolutely incredible of a feat for them, I think, in the house. But just for what Tara was talking about with the double eviction coming up, what do you think, and who do you think Kyland's going to be most loyal to once the 6 do hit Final 6? Who do you think he's going to stick with? Because we've seen Hannah dropping seeds. We've seen Kyland have conversations with Tiffany. We've seen Kyland have conversations with Xavier, Derrick F. So who is he going to be most loyal to, the guys or to Tiffany? Because I don't know. It seems like he's kind of leaning towards Tiff, but I don't know what you guys think.
We could have some latest.
Yeah.
Well, we do have some latest, and we watch feeds too, so we got some latest too. We'll go there, but Mom's not here today. So I wasn't going to go there if Mom was here. Right. Mom ain't here.
But Mom's going to watch though. But Mom's going to watch though. We're going to keep it PG.
All right. We're going to keep it PG. Right. We got a young audience. Right. But anyways, go ahead. We would love to hear what you had to say because that's a good one.
I've thought, since even Tiffany and Kyland had that moment in the have-nots room, I've thought, okay, this is really his final 2. I know he's talked to Xavier and Derrick F., but I think Tiffany was his real final 2. Also, just knowing that he does have sisters, his relationship with women, I think that's also important to him, that maybe if I can't win as a Black male, I would love a female Black woman to, a Black woman to win Big Brother. So I think Tiffany is his final 2. I think he is, though. I love Derrick F., and I think Derrick F. would also be a great final 2 for him, just because people in this game who are in the jury house would see Kyland's game versus Derrick F. and be like, listen, at the end of the day, Kyland played a game. Derrick F. is playing
absolutely
a game.
We say that
as well,
loving him.
We say it all the time. Listen, you can say it with love, but you can be objective. Right. Kyland, I'll say it for you. Kyland has played a way better game than Derrick F. And it's nothing. We love Derrick F. We were shouting out his podcast last week.
Yes.
But the reality is Kyland statistically and even socially has played a better game. So don't worry about that. I'll say it for you. That's definitely
we'll take the brunt of it if anybody.
Comes out to us. Thank you. The guys thing is interesting as well. Like the fact that I think that the guys are on to how Tiffany and Hannah are sort of planting seeds between Kyland and Xavier. Kyland and Xavier were just talking last night about how I think they're trying to plant some mistrust between us. So maybe Kyland will see that and, have a little bit more of a perspective on what Tiffany's game is. And something will change once they get to the 6. But his thing right now is he said, we got to eliminate the temptation of people trying to take Azah and Derrick F to the end. So I think those will be his targets.
Okay.
once the six happens.
Speaking of temptation, let's talk about temptation for a second, because when you go into the Big Brother house, you go in there for the win, for the win the money. And what happens, what people don't realize until they get in there, is you become very close with the individuals in there. I know me and Cody became best friends, as we're genuinely best friends, and I did not expect that. Recent development, it looks like there might be something blossoming, maybe a little bit. Maybe it's just being in the house a little too long.
It could be,
between Tiffany and Kai. What was your reaction to seeing those feeds? Because it looked like there was a little cuddle sesh going on in the HOH room. And I'll just tell you right now, I did not see that coming. I don't know. What was your guys' reaction to seeing those feeds? Because the feeds were blowing up on Twitter.
Twitter
and that went
blowing
down.
up.
We're losing their minds.
I think they were
take
trending,
it, John.
actually.
I have an opinion, but I'll let you go.
I mean, the guy knows how to win the game. He's putting in
This is
strategy.
this is strategy. He's putting in that's
This is
strategy.
strategy.
Okay.
He
Like
knows
little
what
Dr. Will,
he's
Mike
doing.
Boogie-esque kind of thing where they were on the All-Star season.
Yep.
Zach and Frankie.
dear.
The guy's a gentleman too. I heard Tiff on the live feed say she did a little crop dusting in there, and the poor guy had to take that and sit through that. So this guy will go to extreme lengths to win this game.
Okay, so you're saying strategy. Tara, what are you saying?
Okay, my opinion, and he might tell me I'm wrong when he gets out, but just knowing him as long as I have, and again, knowing his relationship with female friends, we try to always like be, you know, the example of like girls and guys can be friends and like we're not in a relationship. I do believe that Kyland just really likes to cuddle. And I think that that's why he was cuddling with Sarah Beth.
Exactly.
I
That's
don't think there was
exactly
anything
what it
there.
is.
I think he really likes cuddling with Tiffany now that Sarah Beth's gone.
I mean, he cuddles with Xavier sometimes and Derrick. The guy cuddles.
He's a
I
very
mean, he
like
made out
physical
with
touch.
he made out with Derrick F.
He made out, yeah.
Absolutely. That was, I think, one of the greatest moments in Big Brother history.
The guy will do anything to win this game.
Well, we have the ultimate. Just so
But
you
yeah.
know, if you haven't seen the
I
feed for
appreciate
16,
you saying what you just said.
we have the ultimate
Thanks,
cuddler
Cody.
right here. I mean, guy is the
I was getting
habitual hugger.
crucified because it was like I was cuddling with Christine, which obviously was
Totally.
maybe because she was married, whatever.
John
I
goes,
was
that's
cuddling
on-
with
yeah, I'm
Frankie.
not
I
gonna
was
say anything.
cuddling with Nicole, with Brittany, Amber. Like it was like everybody.
Yeah.
I tried cuddling with Derrick, but he was like, "Dude, no,
It wasn't happening.
But,
Yeah, no, it wasn't happening.
It was.
Close, but not that
I
close.
understand it. I understand that, and so I can really appreciate that take. So
Yeah. I think that he has genuinely said, like, I want to emulate Cody's social game. Like, I really think that
I love it.
He was, he really does just like to cuddle. I really don't think, although Kyland he's dated older women, he's dated, women around his age, younger. So who knows? He could totally tell me I'm wrong. Let's see when
We'll
he
see.
gets out of the house.
He
But-
said he
We'll
wanted
see.
a kid by within the next 2 years. So I don't know.
First Big Brother baby.
There we go. There we go.
There we go.
BBB.
No, we've had post Big Brother babies,
Yes.
a few of
Yeah.
them. But no, I think whether it's strategic or I do think there's something in there where I'll be honest, there's things you don't get in Big Brother where it's human touch that because you're just meeting these people and they're getting to the point now where they're almost forgetting about reality, what's outside the house, and all their reality is what they're doing right now. And so
That's
you
it.
do get very close with the other people. But I'll tell you this, if it is a strategy move, if it's a strategic positioning here, it's a good one because Tiffany's running that house.
Yeah.
So very close to it between her and Xavier. So
and she's
not a
cutthroat.
bad person
She's
to cuddle
cutthroat,
with.
so maybe a little bit
Yeah.
of something that maybe makes her hesitate to cutting. If she's not
Yes.
going to take Kai because.
Yep.
I think she's also said, it's tough because it's really difficult to follow the feeds because Tiffany will say something to Kylan where I'm like, I feel like that's genuine, but then she goes and has another conversation where I'm like, I feel like that's also genuine. So it throws, as someone that's watching the feeds, it just throws me off a little bit, but I think it just rings too.
Totally.
Kylan's doing the same thing. Like he's cuddling with her and then going to the guys. Like he's doing the same thing. He's not playing a much different game. And so,
which is why I also love, go ahead.
No.
Go ahead.
I was just going to, nothing. It was, so you.
I was gonna say I love as a fan of the show previously, but now someone who truly does like watch the feeds 24/7 and also watch the show. I think it's really important to still watch the weekly episodes because you get those diary room sessions and the missing information that like if they're talking to the cameras or they're talking to each other and saying different things, the diary room is truly the most helpful way to know what somebody's actually thinking.
Yeah.
Agreed.
Yeah.
Diary rooms are critical because you can see things going on in the house, but ultimately the person they're going to be the most truthful with is the producer in the diary room. So you're right. You have to watch those DR sessions.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Anything else from you, D?
Well, I think, we've covered the macro level, we've covered the cookout, we've kind of covered some of the things going on in there right now. I guess we could round this off. You guys have been, John, you're more of a newer fan. Tara, you've been watching for a while, but you've seen everything like we have. However, you have the perspective of knowing Kyland as the person. 2 questions. There's a 2-fold here, so we'll start with the first part. What you said already that you think his true alliance is to Tiffany. So if he has the opportunity, you guys think that if he can, he will try and go to the end with Tiffany, even though Tiffany now with this most recent HOH win, there was a little bit of a rift there. Do you think he would? Do you think he would still go to the end with her? That's the first part, and then have a second part to it.
I don't know, in the sense that I think that Tiffany is a dangerous person to take to the end with all the information that I have. And I think Kyland is just starting to see that. Like, I think with the conversation he had last night with Xavier and seeing the seeds that Hannah's planting and also seeing how closely the women are working together, I think they are starting to get some of that information. And I do think that once they get to the 6, his mind could change. I can tell that he's very threatened by Xavier as much as he loves him. And I think Xavier is similarly threatened. Like, we're 2 people that could win competitions and take ourselves to the end. And I think he also knows that Xavier's playing a better social game than him. He's going to kill me. But yeah, so in that sense, there's a possibility that it might make more sense for him to ride with either the guys and or Derrick F. But I also think that if he sees the opportunity to take himself to the end, that Tiffany is, meaning if he is the one who has the choice at the end of the 3-part HOH competition, that I don't know that he knows how much Tiffany is really the mastermind. And I do believe that he might think that he can beat her.
Yeah, he might be mistaken.
Yeah.
Right.
He might be mistaken, which kind of, that goes into our second part. You guys have the whole perspective. You are not blinded by being in only one room at a time. So, again, you guys are now the Big Brother experts. We're putting that hat on. Both of you individually, what do you think is the best path for Kyland to be the winner of Big Brother 23?
Best path.
No pressure.
I think he
Don't
needs
be
to
afraid
win
to be
at
wrong.
least.
Don't be afraid to be wrong. It's okay.
One more HOH competition. I think it's got to be the final 5. That competition he's got to win. If he wins the HOH competition, puts up Azza and Chada. I have a feeling Derrick F might be the first of the cookout to go home. So if he puts Azza and Chada, sends Chada home, then he's just got Azza, Tiffany, Xavier, and himself. Xavier wins, puts up Azza and Kyland. Tiffany might vote out Kyland. Honestly,
well, but now it comes down to competitions, and from past seasons,
Right.
The competition usually in the final 4 is a combination of either a web, days, something that I think Kyland could be really, really good at. To be honest,
He's been studying.
Yes.
So I like the perspective there about, maybe getting through that double, not having to win, but then winning the final 5 HOH. Because once you put yourself in the final 4, you want to be that veto holder. If you can't win the HOH, you need to hold that veto. And I think Kyland's very capable of doing that and kind of getting it in his own hands. So
I think he is too. And the double is, I think, our most interesting
that's a whole
factor
nother
here.
twist.
Like, we were like, it could be beneficial for him to win this week's double eviction HOH, but is it beneficial for him to win in the following double? That honestly, I'll just go out on a limb and say it. I don't know if any of the house guests see a double coming. I think they might.
It's never been done before.
Maybe,
No way.
I really don't.
There's
think
been a
they'll see it
triple.
coming.
There was a triple last season. Cody had the triple,
Yeah.
but I don't recall there ever being a back-to-back. Because usually you get the double eviction or the triple eviction, like, okay, we're good for a couple weeks.
Right.
So they definitely
gonna be a
don't see it
nightmare
coming.
for
So
house guests.
Tara, what do you think? Are you similar to John? What's the best path for Kyland to win this game? Because we're going to be down to just the cookout. They've kind of implemented some strategies going into it, but now the chessboard, whatever pieces you've laid out, they're going to kind of play. So what's the path for Kyland to come home with that money?
Yeah, as Yvonne said, it's game on from here. And I think for anybody who said this season is boring, this is really going to be a testament to it they got themselves to final 6, and then let's see what happens. I think it's going to be a bloodbath, honestly. But I do believe that it's actually probably smarter for Kyland to continue to ride with Derrick F as long as he can, because he can continue to beat him in competitions. And so much of the end of the game is based on what your competition wins are like you said, Cody, whether it's that final 4 HOH or veto, and then the 3-part HOH. If he can at least Kyland's a big like analytical odds percentages person, and if he can stack his odds to make sure that he can beat at least one of those people, and unfortunately I think one of those people is Derrick F, or honestly Azah, but I don't know that it makes sense for, like, I don't know that he's closely enough aligned with Azah
Right.
to also trust her enough to take her to the end. So if he can ride with Derrick F as long as possible, I worry if Xavier is also in that equation, because him sitting next to Xavier in the final 2, I really don't know what will happen. So,
well, let me give you a scenario.
Yeah.
Because you talk about how analytical Kyland is, but then also we've talked about how passionate he is and how much he probably, his loyal final 2 is probably Tiffany. So we get to finale night. Kyland wins the final 3 HOH. And he has a choice between
Don't do
he
this
has
to
a
me.
toy
I'm just
he
kidding.
has a choice between Tiffany or Derrick F. What does Kyland do, in your opinion? You guys know him best. Which way is he going to go? We know what Cody did on 16, but what does Kyland do? Does Kyland play with his heart or his head?
Oh, because his heart will say, Tiffany is a woman. She's a woman of color. She's someone I've been riding with from the beginning. My mom would love if I took her. This would be amazing. I might take Tiffany. And I guarantee you his mind and his gut will say, I can beat Derrick F. She'll win. Let's take Derrick F. I do genuinely believe that Kyland is ruthless enough to take Derrick F.
Not where I thought you were going to answer. That's not where I thought you were going.
But I know it will be hard for him. Like, he'll cry, he'll be upset. It's not going to be ruthless, like easy decision.
No.
But I think that he would do it. That's my
750, a lot of money. John, what do you think?
Honestly, I know the guy. If you made it that far, you're about to cross the finish line. It's like, get him, go. And I think he might do it. His real goal, he might kill me if I said this. His real goal is to win this season, be the first Black winner of Big Brother, and then go into All-Stars and be the first to win
twice as a Black player.
So
And twice in general.
That's a good goal.
So knowing that's his real end goal, I don't see him giving up this first win just to give America.
That's good insight. It's good insight. That's stuff
It's
that
gonna
we
be
would never
interesting.
know.
And there's a lot of game to play, right?
Yeah.
I mean, Cody, anything else that you think we should cover? I mean, we've covered a lot.
No, yeah,
we've gone the
we've hit
gamut.
it all. Just any last, like, where can everybody? I know Kyland's Instagram already got verified, so if you guys can find him on the right one. But for those of you that are watching here that really want to connect with Kyland after the show, how can everybody find him on what social media?
He lives at social media at Kyland Young. Is that his name?
Yep, at Kyland Young on everything, Facebook, Twitter, all the things. He also has a really cool podcast as well that he'll be happy I mentioned, in the sense that it's called Conversations with Kyland or Convos with Kyland.
Twitter hates it, but we love it.
We love it. He wants to have deep conversations with people from all different perspectives about it. He's a big proponent of social justice issues. So if you want to connect with him on that, he would love to. And please connect with him and send him DMs. I'm running his account currently and accepting them all to make sure that you guys can connect with him after the show.
So you guys heard it here. If you want to talk to Kyland in his DMs, or basically talk to Tara, watch out, I get a bunch of guys hitting up your DMs. But guys can reach out to them. We love Kyland. The final thoughts on him. We think he's a great guy. We really love all the cast. The cast was a great cast this year, and we were accused of this on 16, where it's one of those things where the cookout is so good that the season has been predictable to this point. But if you're a true fan of the game, you've seen the underlying strategy that's been going on this entire time. Yes, they're playing for this big cause. They're about to accomplish that, but they've all been kind of setting themselves up. So I, as someone who's played the game, am really interested to see what happens now, because I pride myself on being a good people reader, but I truly don't know what some of them will do. Kyland being one of them, because he's kind of talked out both sides of his mouth on numerous occasions. So I'm like, what is the real one? And even in the DR, he's kind of gone both ways, where I feel like at one point he's looking this way and he's like, I would, probably go with Tiffany. But then on the next DR, he's like, but I know Tiffany's just trying to kind of put a wedge between me and Xavier. Well, where are you
Right.
going? So I think this last half of the season might be one of the better second halves of the season that we've seen in years. But
Definitely.
it's going to be good. It's going to be good, man. I'm excited.
I'm excited.
We want to thank you guys for coming on. We appreciate it. We know that Big Brother is a blessing and a curse, but I think this is going to be enlightening for a lot of people because, again, we can talk all day about Kyland, but nobody knows him like you guys do. So we appreciate you coming on. We appreciate Kyland's mom, Yvonne, coming on, having the call with us, giving us some insight. And good luck to you guys. Enjoy the rest of the season. And thank you for joining us on the Winner Circle.
Thank you for having us.
Yes, we're huge fans of you guys and the podcast. So can't wait to listen more.
Love it.
All right. We'll talk to you soon.